G'day, my name's Dave. I'm the creator of the Dark Rain mod for OpenRA. I just wanted to make a YouTube video about the Dark Rain editor and some of its features, mostly about just the terrain editing and how it works, um, but a bit of an overview of some of the other features of the editor as well. So it's quite an advanced editor. So just looking at the terrain tile painting, we can see it's pretty complicated. Um, so you can actually switch the tile set of a map, um, at any time and save a variant of it in a different tile set, which is really nice. There's quite a few different tile sets, 8 of them in total, which are um, really interesting and beautiful looking ones, like this Australian one, which is one of my favourites. Um, I believe this one was a user contributed one or user made one. So there's that, and volcanic with molten lava and some funky looking plants. Uh, barren, yeah, the default tile set, um, which looks really nice. Especially this sort of azure coloured waters. I really like it. So onto the actual painting, you can see there's 16 different tile types, and there's 8 art variants for each. So there's a lot here, like, that you can work with to paint a map. And you can see that besides the terrain types, the edges of the tiles are broken up using this masking. So it just blends between the tiles, two different textures to create this fairly organic looking terrain or terrain textures at least. Um, so it's quite a good system they've devised for the painting here. You'll see if I scroll up to the top left that it's actually offset by 12 pixels, and that's because with this terrain, like, to do this blending, they don't just store one value for each tile. It actually stores the values in each corner of the single tile. So 4 values for each tile, and with these values, they can determine what masking needs to be done in these, for the current tile. Whether it's a masked edge, or whether it's uh, uh, you know the cursor is offset here, so I can't really point, but you can see, like, if you just look at the top of the paintbrush here, the tile mask is there. Um, So, but anyway, you probably understand how it works. Anyway, I've linked some things in the OpenRA IRC about it, but it looks really cool. But the other thing I wanted to show, which is really important, is the altitude. And so uh, you can paint. Hold on, I need to increase the brush size a little bit, and also the altitude. Actually, I'll just flatten it all out, form a basin of kinds, and then I'll change the altitude to really high, and then paint a big mesa sort of here. So you can see that there's this shading going on in the south and the east, most noticeable, a little bit to the not really noticeable on those edges, but on the south and east, there's this shading going on, and it extends quite far. You'll see it's the shading's extended all the way over here from this mesa we've set out here, which is 10. 10 on the altitude scale. So I think this is done through some palette manipulation. And I think they might also be using these masks to also facilitate this shading going on. So, and yeah, the palette manipulation I think is done to do this, you know, this kind of darkening as opposed to, you know, this not quite as dark. Um, so really interesting that they went to such lengths to create this altitude, you know, of terrain that displays so well. It even displays on the water as well, and considerably offset as well. But there's also one other feature I wanted to show, which is auto ridge, and this so if you're just been painting in altitude and not texture, you can click auto ridge and it will choose appropriate or semi-appropriate textures for the depending on the gradient of the altitude changes. You know, so, and it's formed this nice ridge line around here, or maybe that already existed, I don't know, but clearly along here it has, and along here it's very just a slab, so it's chosen a very rough texture for the cliff face, and so it looks really nice. It looks really organic. So yeah, that's you know, really all I wanted to go into. I'll just load up a couple of maps and take a look. So commonly lots of decorations in a lot of these user-made maps. These are just user-included maps in a popular community release of Dark Reign. This one's a really nice map, actually. I really like it, even though it's a bit constrained. But you know, there's a lot of features of this map editor besides the terrain. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about? No. So obvious, you know, unit palettes. So you can, you know, add units and pick which team they're for. Buildings, of course, all the Dark Reign buildings, and decorations, trees, craters, rocks, and they change depending on, you know, which palette you're currently using, which is pretty cool. Also waypoints. So the Dark Reign engine was really scriptable and moddable, and you can, you know, obviously set, besides things like being able to set waypoints here, you can script a lot of it in text, in a kind of Lua script. But you can set up a lot of things just in the editor, you know, including these waypoints, you know, assigned path to unit. I guess you can set units off on an assigned path from the beginning of the map. There's also this orders menu, and you know, if you know Dark Reign, you know it's got quite an advanced set of behavior modifiers for the units, and you can set them to scout, and a unit will quite effectively, or a whole bunch of units will effectively spread out across the whole map and locate the enemy in no time at all. And there are really good features, or search and destroy after you've won or pretty much defeated an enemy and they're hiding out somewhere, so you just send all your units out to kill anything they see. So you can set units to do that right from the start for a single player campaign map or whatever. So other things, I guess this is a single player multiplayer map, so it doesn't have that one, so I could probably just load up this and take a look. End condition and some kind of AI modification. I don't know what this does, but anyway, just giving you a look at it. You know, and factions and diplomacy here as well, so you can set your relationships in the editor instead of in a text file. You know, and that's about it. It's a really really cool editor, really cool game. You know, I'm not really actually a DR enthusiast. It was kind of you know, kind of had some sort of balance issues and wasn't as refined as later RTSs that came, but it's a really cool and technologically adept RTS for its time, and for that it earned a real cult audience, and I'm hoping to capture a bit of that cult audience with the OpenRA mod. So thanks very much for watching.